I'm Finley. I'm in grade 12, and this is our turn to talk. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Steve Georgopoulos, and I'm just thrilled to be here with you, Finley.
Thank you. I wanted to talk to you a lot about education today because it's coming on the rise for people asking questions on if it's still important, if it's going to be a struggle for youth to have now. So my first question to you is, what do you think about the importance of education?
I think it's paramount. One word. Now we could get into a deeper answer. I'm a lifelong learner. And grade 1, I took the school bus in grade 2, I took an hour and 45 minutes. Not sure if I had breakfast, so grade 1, 2, 3, 4. I was at a private Greek school. Grade 5, I went to an English school, and I wasn't a great student. Grade 6, 7, high school, I didn't do well. Then I went into university, and boy, did I excel. But I had to really study hard. So education until about grade 11, which was graduating in Quebec, that was the last grade of high school, I just kind of coasted. In university, I really excelled, but as I said, I studied hard. Now, I needed a paper or a document to state that I had successfully passed high school to get into university.
What do you think of the importance of education?
So the word is still paramount, but I gave you a bit of a picture of what my first 11 years of education was. Now, that education coupled with my work experience, and I think I told you just before the interview, I have a PhD, but it is not from a recognized institution. It's from my dad's grocery store. And it was called Arcadia Grocery. And guess how old I was when I started working?
11.
Good guess, 5. So by age 7, all my Campbell soup cans used to be lined up, tomato, vegetable, chicken noodle, chicken rice, mushroom, beef barley, and consommé. And all the labels were nice and straight. So you take that, you take a university education, you take a work ethic that was ingrained to me at the age of 5, and then you take respect. So I'm continuing to learn. A question you might ask yourself in grade 12, is it worth going to college or university? And may I answer that? Absolutely. Because people are going to need that document. And what I see arising now, Finley, is more and more people are getting certifications and diplomas. Because you could go through university and get a degree, but then you may not be able to find a job. So did I answer your question?
I think so, yeah. But I wanted to go a little bit deeper.
Tell me.
You said that you weren't the greatest student. You were having trouble with it.
Absolutely.
Do you think, because I've noticed a lot of people in my school, those who have trouble in the grades, like when you're finishing up high school, people who have trouble there have either thought about going straight into work, going to trades, or not wanting to go to university or college. Do you think that that's the right choice to make, that if you're struggling in high school, that maybe college is going to be too difficult? Because I've heard from a lot of people that I'm going to do a lot better in college and university when I'm focused on what I know I'm trying to do.
Wow, that's a powerful question. And people are going to be listening to this podcast, right? So I better make sure that the trades, there's tremendous demand. And the trades, you could actually see the finished product. The bookcase that you talked about, the bricks, 826 bricks that you laid in the past 2 days. When I was in management, I would work 12 hours a day or 13. And then the parent of a graduating student was very upset because the room wasn't ready for their graduation. How do you think I felt at 5 o'clock when that parent raked me through the coals?
Upset, but maybe, like, if it was me, a little disappointed that you didn't have it done in time.
That's correct. But I was depending on 185 other employees to do that. So let's get back to not doing too well in school and going into the trades. In 2026, I think people should really think about that because they could make good money not be as stressed in another type of job. But I would recommend that they go the college route for at least 2 years and even the university route for 4. And you know what a bonus is there? You don't get into the workforce, and university life could be enjoyable. Now, I've unpacked a lot of stuff in there. And who could help you? A good guidance counselor, a parent, a grandparent if you're blessed to have one, or somebody like Youth Ottawa.
Yeah. I've got 3 friends all going into the trades. One's a mechanic already and works at an auto shop. One's in the school within a trade program for carpentry. And our other friend is a co-op student at a small trade site for electricians.
I love that.
And it's been pretty helpful to see that. And I've been blessed with having a good enough guidance counselor to help me kind of decide where I wanted to be after I had ended up picking wrong courses and changing off from mechanical engineering to architecture. But I was able to be taught where I could go with what I had. And both my parents went to college when they were younger, so that they were able to teach me that I didn't need to go to a university, that college would also teach me wonderfully. And yeah, even though I've struggled in past years, I've noticed that I'm better when I'm doing something hands-on. It's the academic part that I have issues with. Coming outside of school, I go to events with Jesse and with Youth Ottawa, and I do quite well for myself when I'm doing business. But my grade in business class was relatively high. But then on some projects, I wasn't doing as good. But then when I put them all together and just do it in real life and with the experience that I've got, it's a lot better. So I wanted to kind of segue that into, do you think working at your dad's grocery store, that the work experience was more beneficial than school was?
Yes, an absolute yes, because that was real. So from age 5 to 17, as I said, it was a PhD of life. So I learned work ethic, long hours, customer service, math. You might ask yourself, how did you do math at 10 years old? It was simple. There was a 6-pack of Coke, and we used to have in those days family size, which was a 26-ouncer, and we had beer, 12s and 24s. So Jack, we used to come and ask for the money for his empty bottles. So he'd bring 4 6-packs of Coke. So 6 times 2 is 12, times 4 is 48. And 4 bottles of Coke that were 5 cents, so that's 20. So 48 and 20 is 68. And 2 cases of 24 beer that was 75 cents is $1.50, and 68 is 2.18. So I didn't need a calculator. The other part that I learned, that $2.18, he got 4 milk and 4 loaves of bread because his mother's boyfriend was in prison. How do you like them apples?
I do like it. I've been...
That's psychology, that's empathy, etc.
You also get to speak with customers more. That gives you better communication skills.
Mm-hmm.
Before I started working at Youth Ottawa, I had big issues with speaking with new people. But then after going to a few events, when people would come up to me and start talking to me, I could never start a conversation, but I could hold that conversation and keep it going. So when people started speaking to me at events, I keep it going. They'd introduce me to somebody else that they thought would be beneficial to me. And now I've got 3 new people in my phone who I can talk to about business. And I got a lot better at speaking with new people. And even my dad, he came in a while ago to see what I've been doing here. And he agreed that ever since I started working here, the experience, instead of being in an academic setting and getting to work at a co-op position, getting that firsthand experience has taught me to be better with people. I started doing more business here, so I started to learn about how to do taxes, right? I wrote my first check while I was here, and also how to make cost-effective choices. So yeah.
Cost-effective?
I have my own business, so I had to learn how to make my product for cheaper than I can have to sell it for. Make myself money off of it.
I'm thrilled. You should probably do more talking than me because you make a lot more sense.
I'm here to learn from you. As we were talking about the intergenerational synergies, we have to work together because we're going to coexist for a while. You've got to learn how to work together. You've got more experience than me, but I have the new mindset of what's to come with new technologies and like AI. But there's nothing that beats traditional. Nothing ever beats that.
I love traditional. What does traditional mean to you?
The original ways that worked. things that people did for a long time. My parents, yeah, both my parents grew up in Newfoundland and Labrador, and my mom's side of the family is First Nations, where I come from, an Inuit family. So going out hunting and making like my uncle would go out and he would hunt rabbit. He'd bring it back to my grandmother, and she'd make a stew for the whole family.
Love it. My mouth is watering.
It was a traditional thing. It wasn't we'll go to the store and we'll buy something. It was someone's gonna go check the snares in the woods and go see if they found anything. For a while, you can go to the store and buy you can buy Finnish caribou. It's about $70 a pound. It's very expensive. My cousin brought over about an 8-pound leg, and the only thing that I was told was don't ask where it came from. They've currently banned the hunting on it, but he lives on reserve.
Right.
And he said, I got it from a cousin. Don't ask where it came from. We made a giant roast for the entire family. We had, I think, 20 people over that day because everybody wanted caribou. And my great-grandmother, she just passed away a little while ago.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you. But every Saturday, everyone would come over to the house, and she extended the table. She was 95 at the time, and she would still go to the kitchen, and she would cook a roast every single Saturday. My uncle and my grandfather would go. My grandfather is a volunteer trash man. They would go out and pick up everybody in the small town's trash, put it in the dump, come back, wash off, sit at the table with my great-grandmother, and everybody would eat together. And it's been going on for 28 years now or something, maybe even more than that. But even whenever I was up there, I was over. It wasn't a choice. It was you're going to be at Nan's by 9 o'clock. Well, 9 o'clock for breakfast, and then it was come back at 12 for lunch. You had to be there, and it was a tradition. And nobody ever broke it. Everyone was always there. And even now that she's gone, everybody still continues it. They still make the same food, same house, same table. Tradition is the things that have been around the longest that still work and mean something to someone.
So I need to write that down. That's a good one. Because some people call it old school. And I disagree with that. I'll tell you something. I interviewed hundreds of students and thousands of employees. And one of the things that I would look for in a hotel employee was values. So you've mentioned your parents at least 3 times and your grandparents twice. So you have a nice smile, you have a firm handshake. So I would probably hire you for an entry position. And then if you really played your cards right, you could get internally promoted. So do you see how all those things fit in? You mentioned intergenerational synergies. Thank you for plugging my book, Next Station Life. But when I was thinking about education and hospitality and mentorship, it's a two-way. But in writing the book, it's a 5-lane expressway because there's 5 generations in the workforce today. And young Emma, that I was interviewed by 4 years ago, she's 12 now. She'll probably get into the workforce. And there's still people in their 80s and 90s. So that's 5 full generations. And we have to get along with each other. And if people speak about tradition more than old school and other negative words, I think the world will get along better.
Yeah, we all have to learn how to coexist.
Coexist.
People have to stop blaming past generations for issues that we're having now.
Coexist. I like that.
Because a lot of times in school we see like the teachers when we're being taught about like the greenhouse gases, a lot of them they're blaming past generations for starting this, but we've made effort to go back against what they did, but they also tried that at some point. Everybody's learning. We're all doing it together. They're older now, but they may not be the newest generation, but they're not here. They're still around, still trying to make an effort. We need to learn to work together and coexist. We're all on this planet together. We all have to work together. We have to get along.
Love it.
Everybody's the same. We're just a little bit different in age. That's all it is. And to continue about what you're talking about, the hospitality, what was your experience in the hospitality industry like?
It was exhilarating. I did it for 35 years. It was 24/7, although I wasn't there for 24/7, 365 days a year. I was responsible when I reached the level of general manager. Between what I learned at the grocery store, plus my education, plus starting at the bottom of the ladder and working my way up. I didn't work more than 500 days in my entire career because I loved my job. And I was pretty good at it. People skills, joyous moments, right? So when you have that wedding of 400 people and the father comes up after the soup and shakes your hand and says, "Boy, you did a great job." Now, I slept at the hotel for 2 days prior because they had arrived 2 days before. They had a pre-wedding event, etc. But that to me was meaningful. It's one of the happiest days of his life. His daughter's getting married in the hotel that I managed, and he shakes my hand. That's very gratifying. And it's also gratifying when I have somebody like you who's young, who compensates for a mistake that the airline did, right? You had told me prior to the interview.
Yeah, about how the airline had lost my luggage, and instead of making my day worse or having any issues, the front desk guy gave me a free snack from the snack bar to kind of make up for my day being a little rougher.
So he made up for the airline's mistake. Now, could you imagine if you were an international tourist coming to Canada and Air Canada or another Canadian company lost your luggage? You would be upset. But that one move of that person to give that snack. And we talked about kindness, right, prior to the interview. And I mentioned Rabbi Bulka. And Rabbi Bulka started Kindness Week over a decade ago. So as you could see, it says, choose to be kind, choisir la bonté. So
I try to be. What was your best experience you had in the hospitality industry? What was the happiest moment for you? You said that the wedding would have been the happiest moment for the father, but what was the happiest moment that you got to experience?
I'll tell you, and when you ask for one in 35 years, it's difficult. But let me tell you a culminating moment. I left a hotel after 15 years. It was the longest period I'd spent in one hotel. I probably changed 7 jobs in 15 years. So in this particular hotel, it was my last day, and they had a party for me. So I look down and I see Liga, which you've met, my lovely wife, and I started to get butterflies. So I go into the banquet room, and they had a potluck, so great food. And Abdul, who's a great colleague, had prepared a slideshow. And it was pretty emotional and fun and funny. And there was one point where I saw Dallas and Alex in their gowns, their graduating gowns at Algonquin. And I was on the Board of Governors, so I had my gown also. And that's where I had a tear in my eye. And Estelle grabbed a box of Kleenex and brought it to me. So when I unpeeled that onion, or that Abdul was kind enough to do that video, that slideshow, got all the right pictures, 15 years is a long time. And what touched me the most, the 2 co-op students that were there at Algonquin, and the cherry on the cake was the housekeeper bringing up the Kleenex discreetly. So I knew I was leaving the hotel better than I found it.
It's always the goal. Do something better than you got there.
That's right. I think Lord Baden-Powell used to say that. Jim Watson always used to say that quote.
My grandmother used to always tell me, whenever we had to go somewhere, it was always, leave it better than you found it, or take your hat off.
Or take your hat off.
My grandmother was from Labrador.
Mm-hmm.
She was always very brutally honest with people. And as a kid, I grew up I used to wear a baseball cap all the time.
Okay.
And the one thing that she used to always tell me is I could be walking in the house and she'd yell at me from around the corner, take your hat off, I can see you.
So she's probably watching you today.
I told my mom she's probably up there making fun of me. She was always playful, but she was also really blunt. If she didn't like something, she would let them know. I don't want to continue with the hospitality industry because I know a lot of people in my school, they're trying to decide where they want to go. Do you think it's still good in today's day and age? Do you think it's still needed for more people to go in?
Needed, absolutely. Absolutely. I would strongly recommend co-op, high school co-op, because you get a real taste of it. Managers in hospitality are thinking very differently today because of balance. The hours that I used to work and the expectations my mentors had were fine for the day, but they weren't conducive to healthy living. As I mentioned, 12, 14 hours. You get life skills. So the co-op aspect from high school, I would highly recommend. There's programs in colleges. There's a lot of experiential learning at Algonquin. They have some great culinary and hospitality programs. And I think that that industry will remain forever. And even more so because people are traveling more.
Do you think there's any like specific area you'd want to go into if you're trying to get into hospitality? Would you want to go see if there's a a hotel in Quebec or downtown? Is there a better area you think it would be to go into than it would be to just pick at one at random? Is there a better way to give advice to those people who want to try out there?
To be honest with you, I would first decide if they want to go into hospitality and then see what the fit is. So when you're having an interview, the employer is interviewing the employee, but the advice I have to the employee or the student, you're interviewing the employer. And that leads me to a bit of show and tell. This is Rob Ellis, and Rob Ellis is my friend, and he lost his son in an industrial accident. And what Rob says, when students are going for an interview, if the employer has not mentioned health and safety or orientation, don't work for them. So look what I've unpeeled here now. I'm suggesting that students be smart, and they are smart. See if they believe in health and safety and orientation and training. See what the chemistry is like. Right, so I gave you a specific example about how many times you talked about your parents and grandparents. You also talked about kindness, so I could see you've been well brought up. That would be some perfect assets for the hospitality industry. And you don't learn that at school, at college or university. But what you do learn at college and university is the average rate, or what is the cost of producing a hamburger or a prime rib or that soup for that wedding. So I would highly recommend the hospitality industry. And a plug for my friend Rosanna Kyra. She is the editor of a magazine called Hotelier. Take a look at that and you'll get a flavor of what's going on in hospitality now. And they just chose the 30 under 30.
I think I have actually an issue with them.
Impressive.
That one, and then one for the technology for the defense industry.
Smart man.
My dad gets a lot of them because the company across the street where my dad works at, General Dynamics, they issue a lot of their managers and employees like some of the different technology magazines.
Right.
So they're laying around the house for me to go pick up and read about what's going on in the world. I like to keep up to date.
I won't tell you too much more. It might get to your head, but I'm impressed.
I like to keep up to date with what's going on. You don't want to be, ignorance is bliss, but you always want to kind of know what's going on. What and who made you want to start doing volunteer work? Any specific people? Or like, you can give more than one. From what we spoke, there's more than one, definitely.
I enjoyed serving people. At the grocery store, I was always helping, making sure I chose the right apples for the people who used to call in their orders. They would probably get better quality products than had they picked them themselves. And then in grade 4, I used to help the custodian clean the lunch tables. Now, from grade 4 to my first job in Ottawa, there was a big gap, many, many years. But my second principal mentor, Peter Howard, God bless him, said you have to join Kiwanis. So I showed you the pin. It'll be 35 years that I'm a member next year. And Kiwanis, I started volunteering on a committee. It was called the TV auction. I got 3 items. And the chair said, Georgopoulos, next year you have to get 10. So I think I got 12. And 2 years later, I became a co-chair. So that got me into organized volunteering. Very rewarding, because the work that Kiwanis does goes back to the community. So I would say Kiwanis has impacted my volunteerism. My blood donations is very personal. A number of people in my family have passed away. My wife had to have a transfusion 34 years ago because she got the chicken pox late in life. Rob Ellis with the health and safety, I organized a conference with 175 attendees, and I asked for homework. So I wanted to give thanks to Rob, who did an exceptional job, and I asked people to send me a quote about what they learned. And this here is 2004, 22 years ago. And what happens, Finley, with volunteering, you get better at it. And I've weaved it into my life. So whether I worked 30, 40, or 60 hours, 30 was never it, 40, 50, or 60, I would always make time for volunteering. And many of the staff that I worked with weaved volunteering into their...
Is there any group specifically that you go out of your way more to volunteer, or was it just anything that was available? I have a friend who's in high school with me, graduating the same year, and you need 40 volunteer hours to graduate. He's now at 3,000.
Good for him.
And he had 2,000 at the end of grade 10.
Good for him.
He's currently redoing some of them because he switched school boards and they won't accept some of his.
Okay.
So he is closing on 4,000 now, but he just goes to whatever is available. While I choose to help out specific groups that I want to help out more. Did you have ones in mind that you always wanted to go to, or were you just whatever you saw online first?
No, it wasn't online. With Kiwanis, there were various committees. What I'm doing now at the 4th chapter of my life, and I hope there's a 5th, but right now I'm funneling them to youth. I've been a supporter of Youth Ottawa since inception 28 years. I'm on a self-directed journey to understand the Indigenous worldview, hence the tie and the reading. Food insecurity. And that folds into intergenerational synergies, which I wrote the book on. So if you spend 3 years of your life with another person from another generation who's a millennial, but within the millennial, he's a zennial. And a zennial is somebody who knows about analog and digital. So I've done a lot of thinking about intergenerational synergies. So all my volunteer work is funneling into those areas. To answer your question about your friend, it's commendable that he's done 4,000 hours. There must be some recognition that he could get for that.
So actually, yes. Whoever has the most volunteer hours apparently at the end of the year can get a $5,000 grant to go towards university or college.
Love it. Okay.
But the issues that a lot of people have been having is apparently some people have been getting groups to sign off on more hours than they worked.
That's dishonest.
Yeah, but sadly, a lot of people have been doing it, and I've heard about it in my school that some people have. So he's losing. He was at the highest at one point. He's not anymore. So he's kind of focused on this last little home stretch to do as much as possible. We work the same car show every single year. We get 18 hours from them, 9 hours at minimum. Work with all of our buddies. We get in one group and we go work there for them. And then he did Greek Festival right after it, and then he did Blues Fest. So he has them all planned out for like the month. I'm going to do all 6 of these.
Good for him.
Follow them up.
My suggestion to him would be to take a white sheet of paper and write down all of the volunteer work that he's done, and then to see where his passions match. So if it's the Greek festival, is it because he likes the culture? Is it because he's Greek? Is it because he's part of the Greek community? If it's the Blues Fest, why is it? And when somebody has spent that much time volunteering by grade 12, that's the type of volunteer that I would like for my organization, because he has a passion for it and he's put in the time. As far as those people for cheating, my best comment for that is the good Lord looks after it all.
I think that's what we were talking about a while ago. So our friend, the reason that we also try to help out at Greek Fest is one of our friends is Greek. Mm-hmm. So he would always be there with his family or volunteering himself, and he'd send us all the invitation to where you can sign up to volunteer. And all of us would sign up and then head out. The issue is the last one that we were going to do, I ended up not being able to make it to. I think I was either really sick or out of the country. But everybody, we basically, when one person gets a volunteer opportunity, all of us got a volunteer opportunity. When Ferrari Festival first opened up, my friend got a volunteer opportunity. 18 of us followed him.
Which festival was that?
Ferrari Festival. They do it down in Little Italy every year, the Italian car festival.
Okay, yes.
So we all go down and we drive down and then just kind of help out the team and we work. But we basically break our group into like 1 or 2 groups so that when there's that, instead of splitting all of our friends up at different stations where we have to call each other and be like, how are you guys doing down there? We all stick together and they let us work in a group either down the like a 5-minute walk at most from each other, or that we can see each other from our stations.
I love that sense of community, and that's what makes Ottawa very special.
Yeah, I noticed that when you have a tight-knit friend group, everybody works together, that we share all of our opportunities. When somebody gets something, it doesn't just benefit them, it benefits everybody. So I was one of the first people to get a car because I bought it at 14, and I worked on it. The moment I had a car, that meant I can drive myself places, but it also meant my friends, if they needed to ride somewhere, I can drive them. It wasn't, I just got something, it's we got something. We were a group. We always work as a team, so when somebody gets volunteer hours, we all know where to go. When somebody has a job opportunity, but they already have a job, they'll pass it on to the next person who needs one. So we kind of just, it trickles down the level of who needs it most, and we just, there's only one spot left in the volunteer opportunity, and if someone's missing more than my friend with 3,000, he'll turn it down, but he'll forward the email to his friend who only got 13 hours so that they can get the hours from it. We work as a team, and it's nice to see.
Symphony to my ears.
We all want to work together and just keep it going as well as we can. And as you've brought up a few times, what is a quote you live by?
That's one of the questions you had asked me before, and I was thinking about that. And there's a couple. I wouldn't be able to tell you one, but when you spoke about your friends, it was one of my dad's favorite expressions. Tell me who your friends are, and I will tell you who you are. So that really resonates with what you're doing. I'm a big fan of Zig Ziglar. He was a motivational speaker. And his 10 most powerful 2-letter words in the English language are, if it is to be, it is up to me. And that I've lived by. I changed 1 2-letter word at the end when I was in leadership positions. If it is to be, it is up to us. And that was very useful in the hospitality industry because it was 365, 24/7, so I couldn't be there all the time. So it was the team, really, was the chef who made that soup or that dinner for the wedding. Mrs. Piggott, who was very instrumental with Youth Ottawa, her father was a baker, and I've lived this. If you give bread to the community, you get it back buttered. So your friend who gave in those hours for the Greek festival because he had 4,000 hours, that's real bonding. What I like to tell, I always tell my daughters, and these are 3 reminder quotes that I'm still working on. Make time to smell the roses, which I didn't do very well during my hotel years. There's a Greek one, which is called panmetrion ariston, which is everything in moderation. So if you're working 60 hours a week and doing 30 hours of volunteer work, that's not moderation. And what you've mentioned a number of times, choose to be kind. So I choose to be kind, but sometimes it's difficult to be kind when people are unkind. So then I look at this. So I gave you a whole bunch of expressions, but to choose one that I live by, it would be difficult. But I think if I had to really choose one, if it is to be, it's up to me.
My 2 are, it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice.
I love that.
And then also, sometimes life's too short to have regrets. Because I've said to many people many times, I'm always going to try to get every single thing that I can done. If something's offered to me, like, hey, do you want to go out to this park? And it's a park I haven't been to? Sure, I'll go out to it. Because if I don't like it, I can just leave. If I enjoy it, now I have a new thing that I like. I want to get as many things done in my life. As long as I'm around, I want to have a list of things I did and never be at the end and regret, I wish I said yes to going out that day, or I wish I said yes to going to hang out with my friends. I want to always be able to say, I did that. I might not have enjoyed it, but I did it. Like, I've never skied before. My friend offered me to go skiing this year.
You're 40. How old are you?
I'm 17.
Yeah, you see, that's inspiring.
I always want to go do as much as possible. My goal in life when I was younger was to have as many skills before time was up, because I've already known from a young age at some point time is up. But you can have as many things you've done in life. You have a big list. You can't regret everything in the end. So leave there nothing to have regrets about. You just do all of it, enjoy it, don't enjoy it, you still did it. There's no wondering, hey, maybe I would have enjoyed it. Instead of thinking, oh, my business idea was pretty interesting, I wonder if it would have worked out. Instead, I just went and did it. And it's been turning out really well. I've been making good off of it.
Where did you get this wisdom?
Talking to family members, people in Newfoundland, Labrador, if you sit down, have a conversation with them long enough, they'll tell you their whole life story, and you can take from it. My grandfather and grandmother were both teachers for 30 years.
Oh, they were educated?
Both my grandparents.
Okay.
One was a principal as well, and they taught up north in Ulahaktak, which is a small indigenous community, but also taught up just in Goose Bay and St. John's. They taught from a big city, small city, to a native fishing community. You sit down, and I've noticed a lot of times in Newfoundland, people are more traditional than they are in places like a big city like Ottawa. And if you sit down for 20 minutes and you talk to somebody, you'll hear their whole life story and you'll learn a few things. You have to know who you have to go talk to. And my grandparents they've been a big part of my life. So I was just sit down and talk about it. And this year I went on a cruise with my grandparents and my family. And I spent a lot of that time talking with my grandfather. We went watch shopping, and I got to learn about his firefighting experiences because he's a volunteer firefighter, but also what it was like to teach up north and to talk with those communities, as well as play hockey, because he still does that. He just turned 75 2 weeks ago.
Wonderful.
But you got to sit down and listen to people for a little bit and let them tell you their story, and you'll learn something.
You're a very wise man. Let me tell you one of the best gifts I got. It was June 13, 1993. Why do I remember that date? Because it was my parents' 50th anniversary. And I worked until 11:30 at the hotel, went home, got up at, I think, 7, slept for an hour in the car while my wife drove. We had a surprise 50th anniversary party for my parents, and they were stunned. Very close friends. They were friends that were like family. And my mother squeezes my hand under the table, and she said, if I were to die now, I would die happy. What a wonderful gift. And she passed away, I think, 7, 8 years later. But that was a great gift because she had no regrets. And I don't have very many regrets either.
That's how I want to go. I want to have no regrets and just know that in the end I was happy. I want to look back, because they always say, like, after you pass away, you have the flashback of all of your life. Mm-hmm. I want to, when that's over, not be sad. I want to finish that flashback smiling.
And I'm sure you will.
That. I want everything that I wish to achieve to be achieved. I used to have a bucket list when I was younger, and it was like, I want to go see this country. And I thought, I'm never going to go there. I've now visited probably over 10 different countries at 17. I started flying when I was 3.
Flying?
I've been flying my whole life. Cruises, flying. I started driving. I got my first car at 14. I was driving boats before 14. I drive a big 2021 Ford Explorer SUV, an 89 Nissan Pulsar NX, which is my first car, my old little sports car from Nissan, and I now have a 2008 Mitsubishi Eclipse. I drive old cars, new cars, and I love them. So it was always my passion, but it was just, I wanted to get good at driving. I wanted it because it was a thing on my bucket list, was to know how to drive manual, know how to drive automatic. I can do both of those now. So those are off my bucket list. Now we're moving on. I wanted to always have everything I ever wanted to know and learn. I wanted to have it done, so that I was never looking back thinking, would have been really good to know that, but maybe in the next life I will. Is that I can go up to heaven and know that I finished everything, that I was happy with it.
You're an inspiring guy, Finley.
Thank you. I think we have time for one more question. We already visited, or like before the interview, but just to finish up with the hospitality industry. Mm-hmm. As we spoke, you said that you think it's going to be completely safe from AI.
As far as an industry, there will always be jobs. When I started in the hotel industry, I told you I started right at the bottom in housekeeping, picking up garbage and dirty linen. Somebody noticed that I was potential, so they made a bit of a training program, and I was in reservations. So in those days, we would have to qualify the call. Are you coming for business or for pleasure? And if it was for business, are you with a convention because they had special rates, etc. So that was back many, many years ago. If you want to go to a country now, you're going to go on your device, whether it's your computer or your phone. You're going to look at the rates. You're going to look at the reviews and what's available. 25 years ago, we had to qualify all those things. AI will probably automate a lot of that. And it's been prior to it being called AI, we did it, right? You make a selection. Is it one for English, two for French? Is it for a reservation? Is it for a department? Some of those manual jobs, and I'm getting very granular here, will be impacted by AI for sure. Some of the cleaning jobs, maybe. You might walk into a hotel and see a robot polishing the floor. Sales will not be, because if you're booking a convention for 400 people for 5 days, you want to see that sales manager right in the eyeballs and make sure that that room is ready at 12 o'clock and not at 3, right? Remember we spoke about the... so I think it's an industry that will always be necessary. And the organizations that hire the right people who are passionate about hospitality will do very well, and you'll have to pay for that.
Yeah. It kind of made me reflect on some of our past questions, what you said, wanting to see like a person eye to eye.
Mm-hmm.
But when I've been talking with manufacturers for getting materials for building my company, is a lot of them use an automated response bot that I see when it responds to me, but you can pick out the way that they speak. You can tell that it's not a real person. And a lot when I'm contacting with them, because I often do it through messages and group chats, because I will respond with, bring me a live representative, and I ask to speak with a real person, and it'll run its program, register what I said, and then I'll get to speak with a real person. But when I do a lot of my materials, I don't speak with AIs. I always ask for a real representative because, yeah, over the phone I can't shake hands, but at least I can speak to somebody on the other end who understands the needs of a person and not just a computer that's solely there for a cost-effective business strategy. And then about the looking for rates with flights, it brought me back to one of the quotes that I really liked, which was, money will always come back. People were talking about when you turn a certain age, people were talking about at 16 there's going to be that one really cool car. You have to make sure that you don't skip it, that you buy it then. Money will come back, but that car won't. Okay. I'm happy that I bought my car when I did. I haven't seen a single other one of them on the roads, but that money that I spent on it, it's going to come back to me eventually. I'm going to make money when I get older and I'm going to get it back. But maybe those flights that I took to Hawaii and that time I spent with my grandparents on the cruise, in years, I don't know, but I may not have that opportunity to spend that time with them as I did. That money will still come back to me. My family were quite well off, so I was never one to struggle with, scared if I wasn't going to be able to afford groceries or something like that. But I always was taught that it's better to, you want to save money, but also you don't want to give up opportunities just because it might be a little more. It's to focus on getting to spend that time with family and keep traditions alive, even if it costs a little bit. The money will always come back in the end.
Very, very wise. You're wise beyond your age.
Do you think that is a good time to wrap up?
It's been great. It's been great. You listened to Emma's interview on the Sam LaPrade show.
Yes.
Right? What did you think of it?
It was great. It was impressive.
What do you mean, great, impressive? She spoke for a minute and 4 seconds. No notes.
Unprepared, no notes.
Yeah.
Without stuttering, it was truly impressive. I was scared starting this as my first podcast, knowing I was gonna have to speak for a while. But in the end, it was nice. But seeing an 8-year-old get to go through that, it's amazing to see.
And that's why I do what I do. I wish you many more successful podcasts. It's been nice. Thanks
as well.